Hello, welcome back to part 2 of this. I mean, I suppose part 1 was really just unboxing, seeing what we'd got. But I do apologise, I've not really had a chance to make a new video for a little while because I've been moving house and there's still lots to do in the property at the moment. And I've sort of dedicated a space now in the conservatory where I'm going to sort of get this layout up and running. So I've got a nice 8-foot space here. Still some cleaning and decorating needs to do in this room, but I think I need to start on this project. So first thing I want to do is reopen this and see what track I've got, because I haven't even been in this box for over 2 weeks now. And I just want to see how the track's going to go. I've got the track layout in my mind, exactly how I want it to look, and I'll put a couple of pictures online on that so you can see. But first job, let's get this out. Right, let's see about how I'd like it to sort of start. Obviously it's not going to be the biggest layout in the world, and I was making it as a micro layout, so I think having just a 4-foot scenic section and probably about 2.5 foot fiddle yard just on the end there. So I'm going to need, so what we've got, 2 track pieces there and 2 track. So if I sort of end it there, I might try and do something a little bit more, you know, so it's not just goes off scene and then comes back on scene. I think I'll have to work on that. But the main sort of scenic section, I'm going to have sort of a bit of a hill, sort of a descent that comes down there into a nice harbour scene. A few buildings on the back there, maybe a mill building, something like that. There could be a sort of a nice rowing hut, or you know, boat shed here or something like that. It's when it's come down, and I think that should look quite good. Right, that's the main board created, all the wood cut. Not an expert carpenter or anything like that, as you can see some of the joints, but they'll all get hidden through the scenic and the dock scene that I'm putting on and things like that. So it's all going to get hidden, that is. And then this will come down as a sort of a scenic hill going back up. And I was thinking, what do I do for the track bed? Because I do have this, and it's some underfloor insulation, and I thought that might make quite a nice little track bed. And then I can have a small shoulder to the on the ballast, and it might be a bit quieter. I've actually used 9mm board this time to give it a bit more solid feel, but believe me, that's quite heavy now. There's quite a lot of wood in that. More than I really wanted to put in it, I think. So, but let me just finish this off. I've just got to screw this on, fill some of the gaps up, and then start doing some of the expanding foam, and then I'll work out how I'm going to do the track bed after that. Alright, everything is all been glued and screwed. Extra battens on the back there to give it the sort of pull underneath. I've put a temporary side piece on at the moment, and that's just to stop any of the expanding foam getting onto the actual board and just sticking it. So I just stick some paper on there, and that works quite nice. I'm just using this Gorilla filler, so any expanding foam filler will work. And I was expecting some gloves in there because it says wear protective gloves. Normally these come with gloves, so I'm going to go and fetch a pair of gloves. Right, I have given this can a good shake. Any gloves I could find were these, which are a little bit small. So let's just have a quick read. So as normal, turn the can upside down, and I really want to fill all this space here. I've tried to protect as much as I can with the floor and everything like that. This stuff just expands and goes everywhere. So I've not put any of the track on because in the past I've put the track on and then I've got it on the track. So I'm going to do the scenery first this time. Right, I'm going to leave that, I think, just a little bit more. You always think, I just put a bit more on and then it expands even more. So I think I'm going to just leave that there, maybe just a little bit around this top piece. Well, actually that is the whole can emptied. So I wasn't expecting that. So now it's just leave it for several hours. It's hard to trip on anywhere else. And I'll come back and get that looking how I want it. Right, this seems to have gone quite well. Going to need to do quite a bit of reshaping in that, but I'm going to leave it a bit longer. It feels like it's quite solid at the moment, but I know the last time I did this, the time I started to cut into it, it was still wet in the inside, so I'm actually going to leave it 24 hours to fully cure this time before I start. But the exterior is all fully, but I would have said straight in there is going to be wet. And it messes up your knives and everything like that, so gonna work on that tomorrow. Right, I'm going to get this starting to look a bit more like a hill. Hopefully I've left it long enough, so it should be right. This is going to take a bit of time. It's quite solid actually, so give me a little bit of time and I'll get that shaped into how I want it. Right, that's starting to look a bit more how I want it, a bit more shaping. I'm going to need a little bit more filler putting in, but once I a bit of filler of this and then plaster cloth. The idea is it sort of slopes down. I want a bit of a boathouse or something here. It doesn't have to be a big. Obviously I can't have something massive, just a few rowing boats, and then that sort of gently sloping down into the water. So I've got to fill a little bit more around here, do a bit on the front. I'm going to do a little bit on this back end as well, so that sort of comes down like that, so the harbour piece is only this piece there then, or the dock scene I should say. And I've got plenty of plaster bandage that I've ordered, so I just need to really carry on and start shaping this how I want it. What I'll start to do is just get some filler just to smooth these edges off. This also creates, once it's all gone dry and plaster cloth and painted, you get a nice waterproof. So because I want the water level to be about here, something like that, so this then sort of blends into the water. So I'm just going to cover this in a thin layer all over before I put the plaster cloth on, let it dry. Got to do some touching up there, done a bit of the round the top. Hopefully it will start to look how I want it. When it's at this stage, you always think, is it ever going to look how I imagine it in my mind? But I'm just going to carry on with this, and it's just some cheap general purpose filler. Probably going to need some more of this. So, but I'm just going to paint a bit of a thin layer over the whole lot anyway. So let me carry on, and we'll come back once it's done. Right, I've got this about how I want it, so I'm just going to give it a coat of very watered down plaster or filler, whatever you want to call it. Smooths it off, and it means the plaster bandages should then all stick nicely to this. It's going to take some time at drying though. Don't always do it this way, but I decided this time. Last time I used sort of PVA coat, but I thought this would smooth out some of the other bits of plaster that bits of filler that I've put in. Try and give sort of the smooth flow into from the higher ground to the lower ground. So I'm going to leave that for a little while and then get the plaster bandages on it, I think. So I think that'll be okay. Right, I want to get this plaster bandage on now so I can get it left and to dry. So I just want to cut this into a few manageable strips. And I've got absolutely plenty of this, so I'm going to put a good couple of layers on. I'm going to go through the rest of this, get all that done. Right, that's now a good couple of layers. I've gone that way and that way, to sort of give it a good covering, and just got to really let it dry because there's still quite a bit of water. I put some kitchen cloth to try and soak up some of the excess that had run down. So it's just really come back tomorrow, I think, before I can do any more. Right, I want to make a start on the dock edge. This is actually quite crucial because I need to just know how high this is going to be. Because if I'm going to lay the track just on the board, that's fine. But if I am going to put it on a slight track bed, then this, I need to know exactly where this is going to go so I can do a bit of the hard standing piece. Because I was thinking about whether hard standing or not. So what I've done is I've gone onto Photoshop. I've already had all these purchased, and you can use them as many times as you like. And I've increased the size to 176%, and then used Photoshop to try and get them onto A4 sheets. And I've done the same with the canal barge. So this obviously will get cut down and goes onto 2 sheets. It's actually a little bit bigger than an A4, but it's the same thing. You need to own it before you can do this. And then what I'm going to do is give them a preliminary spray with all this first, so when I use the glue it doesn't affect anything. I mean, Pretty Stick doesn't affect anything anyway, so I'm quite good. I've got my card. I actually bought it is on A3. So this is actually 1.5mm, and I'll need 3mm for the thick card and 1/2mm for the medium card. And then I've got a thinner card for obviously the thin card. I don't know what size that one was now. But I'm going to use 2 sheets together for the because it's going to be difficult cutting out. That's what I was thinking. You know, I thought, is it going to be easy to cut? Because when I'm cutting 2mm, that's quite difficult. So anyway, I'm going to get started and get all these onto the boards, get them sprayed and onto the boards. I measured half of that out because I'm going to be using all of the board. I think the plan is to mount it on the 1.5mm. Then cut them out, then mount that, and then cut them out again. I think that's going to be the easiest way with this. Let me get the rest. I actually realised the best was mainly print only. It's only that piece that I need to take off that. So the rest of the sheets were just the blank. Ooh. Medium card, I couldn't spray that one, so I'll have to get that one done. Yeah, I can put any of these on there. So I'm going to carry on getting all these mounted, getting cut out, and have a look, see what it looks like on the layout. I would say join me in a few minutes, but it's going to take me a few hours. Well, that is nearly all complete. It's taken quite a while to build, and so obviously if I want to use the steps, I'll have to, and then I would extend this, extend the cobbles, but I'm not sure I want to use it with the steps yet. So I've got these also that would add on to here, like this, and it hides some of the some of the gaps that's not quite right and things like that, but they're also there to hide the joints. So let's go and have a quick look at this on the layout and just see how it fits. And I might actually just use instead something like this, and with the piles sort of, you know, more like that. So I'm in two minds here, so I just want to just check, see what it looks like on the layout before I make a decision. So let's do that now. Right, as it's gone sort of late evening, I've had to put some artificial light in, so it's not quite as good now, but it's sort of, I know that would be go a bit higher there, like that. And we would have these, hide any of the gaps and things like that. Then once I've done that, I did cut out, not sure where I've put it. Okay. Just a quick draft of the barge, and if I put that in there, that is not going to sit. I mean, I can put it up there, but that at that scale isn't going to fit right. So I could reduce the scale of this barge, so it was, instead of a 176% increase, I could probably do it 150%, and it would probably fit nicely. But it's got to fit on the opposite side of these, so maybe it'd look too small if I did that. The other option I've got is do away with the steps, and we have, and then that barge does just fit inside at that correct scale. I'm sort of thinking that would be the better, and then put a ladder down, something like that there, instead of these steps. So these steps I think work better in a harbour scene rather than a dock scene. So I think I would prefer it like that. So let me just drop a couple more of these in, just to give it an impression. Obviously I've got to put a piece in at the end here, so this isn't perfectly dry, just slightly damp, but I could wear a piece and then slide one in, but I would sort of give us the feel of how it would sort of look. And then that barge fits almost perfect at the correct scale. And then I'm going to, this will be up to rail height, so I'm going to need to put something underneath, just a piece of the green scenery on the card underneath, because what I want to do is I want to put the plaster fill across both of those rails from about here, something like that, maybe something from there, and then that's all done plaster. That is not part of the layout. that's going to be the fiddly hard when I get that done. So otherwise I could just have a concrete walkway here, then this could be ballasted. So I've still got to yet to decide on that, but I have that feeling that if I do them at the same height as the rails, even if I did the concrete walk path there, and then when it's filled in, it would work. But how would you feel, you know, how would you get a vehicle across? So I think the best way to do it is do it hard standing. Not sure I've got enough time in this episode really to do this, so I'm going to just get this harbour wall finished to the right height. So I've just got a bit more height and a bit more length on it, and then really get that. And then I think after that it'll be getting the track down, the track wired, and a bit more scenery in place. So I think that's really where I can leave it for tonight. Oh, thank you for watching this week's episode. Sorry it was a little bit delayed. It was just moving house and lots to do and lots of other things, and the railway did take a little bit of a sidestep, but I've tried to get back on track, and it's sort of starting to get there. Basic scenery is in place. I've got how I want the harbour to, the docks seem to sit, how I want the track to look on a slight angle. Got to obviously fix all the track down and get it wired and get it all working, but I think that was a reasonable start. So like I say, I do appreciate you watching, and hopefully I'll see you again on the next one. So have a good evening or a good rest of the day, and take care.